Hello, I'm in France, Paris, France, on my way back to the U.S. We've got a bunch of people here already. Thank you so much. Before we start, as always, let us know where you're from. Let's do a country count. We've got Canada. It's hot in Canada. Wow. Pakistan. I imagine it's pretty hot in Pakistan. Summer in that part of the world. Colombia, Vietnam, Armenia, Russia, Brazil, Finland. Never get tired of seeing how diverse this group is. Belarus, Switzerland, Russia, Siberia. I may be going to Siberia in the fall. China is here. Thank you. Whoa, Janet stayed home and didn't go to the beach just for us. Italy's represented. UAE, it's hot over there too. And Malaysia. Hello world, exactly. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. The title of this session is Getting to Know the Virtual Classroom in WizIQ. And this is a very important distinction I want to make right away, is we're not going to be talking about online teaching and learning in general and the different learning spaces online. We're going to focus on the virtual classroom, where we are right now. So we'll be talking about tools, and we'll be talking about the spaces here. I'm going to grab my pointer. That's the most basic tool. What we're going to do this time is I'm going to screen share soon. So I'll show you around the VC. What's the VC? Virtual classroom. What's the TC? Tender chicken. Somebody's hungry. Top cat. TC traditional classroom. So how are they similar? Yep. Good. Whiteboard. They're both teaching and learning spaces. You've got a curriculum, right? Objectives. Synchronous, interesting. Grades, like you can transfer a lot of things over. They both require interaction. So I wrote a few things down. Group of learners. Definitely has got to be there, right? Teacher and students can collaborate, albeit in different ways, sometimes. I saw interaction, engaging, right? What does this picture make you think of? What's that expression? We're comparing apples and oranges. Janet's got it there. I chose this picture because I hear a lot of people talking about comparing traditional classroom and virtual classrooms. And I often think of this. It's like comparing apples and oranges. Now, that is not to say that I don't recognize the similarities, because there are so many. And the fundamentals, like objectives and curriculum and many of the things you mentioned, are the same. Often attempts to make the virtual classroom work actually fail because people are trying to recreate what happens in the physical classroom in the virtual classroom. It's so important to me to help people make the virtual classroom experience as engaging, as interactive, as successful as possible. So how is the virtual classroom different? It's about the approach, like Judy says, yes. How you approach it needs to be different. And I don't just mean the technology piece, but I do mean often as a result of the technology piece, there are differences we need to really consider. Not face-to-face, not in person or not face-to-face. More flexibility, sure. Learner-centeredness. You don't have eye contact. Asynchronous if you watch the recordings from the virtual classroom. Very flexible in terms of geography, time, and that sort of thing. So, allows for diverse groups of learners. What do we mean by diverse here? Heterogeneous, yes, in what sense? Different places, ages, abilities, cultures. Yes, just like all of us. Right. Really inclusive in a really wonderful way. Less or no face-to-face interaction. No in-person interaction, that's for sure. But there could be face-to-face interaction. I could turn on somebody's camera right now. I could turn on somebody's microphone right now. The feeling of working with students with the chat box, when you do it enough, you do start to feel like you know people. How many of you have had an experience with Facebook where you feel like you are getting to know someone? Socializing with them, learning with them. It doesn't have to be Facebook, but Facebook, for example. Are there people you've connected with on Facebook, Twitter, etc., that you have not met in person? And maybe you've never even had a Skype conversation. You've never seen them face-to-face or talked to them face-to-face, yet you feel like you have a relationship with them. So it would be very difficult to explain to someone, wouldn't it, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that Facebook could make you feel this way, right? Because there's not only is there no face-to-face interaction, but the chatting is not in real time. I mean, it's pretty good. It beats YouTube, right? But it is certainly not something people could really comprehend as being satisfying or even something you crave to do socially. And I think that's a really important idea to consider when we're thinking about teaching online with a virtual classroom. Because if I turned on all your cameras and your microphones right now and tried to make it like the physical classroom, the traditional classroom, would that help us right now? What would the experience be like if I did that? How about Facebook? Would you like everyone to turn on their cameras and their microphones on Facebook all at once? Would that make it better and more social for you? So social learning is a different animal, I think. It really is different. Technology to learn about and get comfortable with, that's certainly different. I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think that I'm a tech person? Do you think that I organized this MOOC and I'm doing all of this because I have a particular affinity with technology? I like it. I'm into it. Is it a trick question? It's the people I reach, Philip. I hate learning about technology. Absolutely hate it. I have no curiosity. I'm not good at it. I'm the kind of guy that, you know, always needs the friend who knows how to use computers. So he can help me or she can help me. If you're like Renee, who just said she wants to know all the tools, that's great. I really, honestly, I really don't want to, and I get frustrated easily because I don't know how to use them. Why am I doing this? Because of what Philip just said, reaching when you teach, the possibilities that are offered to us now this way. How can we use the virtual classroom when you're not such a tech person, when the technology is not necessarily ready for you or for everyone else? How can we do it in a way that will maximize interaction and the experience for everyone? It's easier to share content for sure, right? I can put up another whiteboard here. I can put up a PDF file. I can put up a PowerPoint. Of course, we can do that in the physical classroom with a projector and so forth. But I can also put links into the chat box, and you can check some content out. So it's definitely easier to share content, easier to involve multiple teachers and guest speakers. Heike talked about this. She and I both have tried this, and it's just a wonderful thing. Having a conversation guest come in, having people come in who couldn't because they're in other countries, co-teaching, working with other teachers. You talk a lot in traditional schools about co-teaching and working together, but paradoxically, it happens more, I think, in the online space than in the physical space. Greater potential for student interaction. This is another paradox. So how could there be greater potential for student interaction if we're not physically together? What do you think? Not limited to the scheduled time, the chat box. But we could talk about the limits of student interaction if we talk about the fact that you're not physically together, and the less face-to-face time, and technology making it hard to connect. But then there are no limits. Yeah, look at the way, we have students from China, for example, here. How could I ever interact with someone in China? You might be able to only chat with each other here, but if you like what someone's saying, maybe you think Ivana or Breno, Natalia, hey, they seem cool. Well, then you can click on their name in WizIQ and then make a comment, connect with them, send them a message, and who knows, maybe you'll be presenting at a conference together 6 months from now. And the value of the class recordings. Why are class recordings valuable compared to the TC, traditional classroom? Anytime at their own pace, reference, re-listen, watch. Great. Many people cannot come live, and if you can make your class really interesting and engaging in a way that when people watch it later, they don't feel like they were there, and they may think, oh, I wish I were there, but they don't feel like, this is a waste of my time, because it was only really directed to the people who were there live. And I am going to screen share, and I am going to show you around the virtual classroom. So I'm going to hit screen share. Start screen share. I'm screen sharing now. With the PowerPoint, I have over here the ability to change the slides. I've got a whiteboard here with another picture on it that I'm going to show you. And I think I have yet another whiteboard. So you can keep creating whiteboards to put things on. So we're on the blank whiteboard right now. And what I can do is show you some of the tools. Hi, right? And I'm actually drawing on the whiteboard with my finger, which is pretty cool because I'm using someone else's computer, or you can use the touch screen. So I've got touch screen today. I can do text. I can go here and I can highlight it. Oop. And I can change the font. And then anytime I want, I can switch back. This is all of my content I've uploaded to my content library. It's a cloud in WizIQ. And I can put lots and lots of stuff there. So I have the slides from other presentations here. And if I click on one, it will load into the classroom. So let's do that. Why don't we click on Marisa's from yesterday. I can also upload from my desktop. So if I press upload from desktop, now I can go in here and I can choose a picture. So if you have stuff in your content library, it helps because they come in a little quicker. You see this takes a little longer. But you might want to, in the middle of a class, upload something. I'm going to show you about how to set up a poll, and then when we go back and we look at the screen again as students, you'll see as students we can do the poll. If you're not sure what a poll is, maybe you've seen these on Facebook too. You enter a question. I'm saving my poll. Now, I can have that before I start. As I said, I'm going to do another session where I talk about prepping the BC. But there it is, and I can publish it when I want to, and when I publish it, I'm going to see this graph. And as you respond to the choices, right? Oh, and look, you're responding. Students don't see that, right? That's just teachers. So now I'll share the results. I want to go over and show you up in the top right over the camera view of me. You can see my name. The session is good. That's just the broadband connection. I have writing control. I have microphone. I have camera. I can switch them on and off. And I popped out the chat. Let's say you don't want to see the chat, right? You can minimize. Gone. I don't want to see the attendee list. I can minimize it. Gone. I can minimize the camera. Gone. Pop them up or maximize them and pop them back in. Voila. while we're on the chat, let's talk about it. I can disable the chat, which I would never do personally, but I can do that if I want. I can copy the chat, and then you can paste it and use that later. Right now, when I send a message, I am sending a message to all of you. So if I write in here, hi, and actually I'll also, in case you're not sure, I'm going to change it to, in case you're not sure about fonts and colors, I'm going to change it to yellow and make it really big. And I'm going to add a smiley face, a wink, and then I'm going to press send. I can go here and actually contact WizIQ support. Time remaining. So we've got this much time remaining, and I can, if I click the clock, extend the session. Here's the media player, and I have some things in my content library, MP4s, MOVs, MP3s. I'm going to go to YouTube, grab something for us, and I'm just going to paste that link here. Now, I can play it, or I can add it to the playlist. When I'm prepping the room, right, so if imagine we're prepping the room, I'm going to add it to my playlist because I don't want to play it right now. So when I play it, should work.
Fluency MC.
Do you know this one? What's this idiom? Can't fit a square peg in a round hole, right? You need a bigger hammer. Yeah, well, problem is this. You can get a big hammer, but it may not give you the results that you want. You can look back to, you know, how people first used the telephone. Anyone know what I'm talking about? Oh, it's not like face-to-face, so, you know, we hate the telephone, or we should only use it, you know, in this type of situation, you know, when we're both sitting down, or it's at night, or you shouldn't do it in this type, right? It's two different things.